Please click on the thumbs up button and the subscribe button if you enjoyed my vlog. Bye for now.
Everybody, after what has been nearly 10 days of awful weather, sometimes most days in fact, unable to see properly because of bad light, fog, prolonged rain and terrible drizzly conditions, I've been unable to go out, incarcerated in fact in the house. But I did manage to go in the park for an hour when we did see half a day's sunshine. If you like my videos, by the way, please click on the subscribe button and it's free, and also the bell button, it's free. That gives a rough idea of how bad the weather's been for us all. Everywhere's flooded really. Anyway, I thought I'd have a walk around the park and show you one or two things you might be able to show children or grandchildren. Well, you can see everywhere's soggy underfoot. I had my boots on, but it could have been worse. It could have been snow, and at this time of year it is often snow, isn't it? But it's quite warm really. Hence probably we've had all the fog and mist and dreadful conditions really weather-wise. Since I've been around the park for a good look, because I'm still avoiding people, the tree surgeons have been in and they've cut some trees down which were infected, and they've cut other trees branches off. As well as the heavy rain conditions, we've also had gale force winds, and this is one of the problems in the park when you go for a walk, so you have to be mindful of falling branches and step round these things and be careful. Not all the trees were affected by the winds and the bad weather conditions. Here you can see there's several trees, and in the park itself there's lots of trees of different types, which in a way makes for a more pleasant experience when you're walking around. And these particular trees give lots of shade when it's very hot in the summer. So the park's actually a good place to be at that time. This weeping willow is spectacular in the summer. It appears to change with all the seasons, and you can see all the leaves have dropped underneath it, and which will regenerate the soil again. It will be able to take in some of those nutrients from the leaves that's there. And you also may notice that nothing much will grow under the dense density of this particular tree, because it shades out a lot of the light. Here's something that a lot of people may have missed, and I just had a quick walk around the park. This particular tree at some point has had a branch dropped off it, and it's a hole's formed, and maybe used for something to roost in. I wouldn't have thought anything could nest in there, because it's very close to the ground. But in the night time, when the park is peaceful and quiet, there's no reason why a tawny owl shouldn't have a go at being in there. I have heard tawny owls in the park in the past. Of course, birds and people are not the only things to go in parks. We get dogs too, and I just wonder how long this dog's paw print's been in this particular footpath, because it's a very old footpath. What could you say, 100 years at a guess? Anyway, maybe you could find out about that one, but it just adds a little bit more interest as you're walking around with children and grandchildren to point these things out. So let's have a look at the trees then that's been felled, and the trees that's been partially felled. You can see here that lots of branches have been taken away that were deemed unsafe by the footpath, on either side of the footpath actually. But this walkway, St John's Walk in the park, was wonderful for being in the shade, and I'm wondering how long it will take these trees to recover before we'll be able to have some shade from them again. Hopefully this coming year will be helpful to us all, but you just can't tell at this stage. But I will keep you informed. Some of these trees now look like giant catapults. That's the word I was after. Here's one in particular. And you can see in the background there the Rabbitings site as well, beyond the houses. Just to give you an idea of how big these trees were, the litter bin there is a comparison, and I am taking you up this tree. It was of a film, but I'll slow the film down so I can narrate. But you can see how big it is now, even after it's had all the branches taken away. This particular tree in places is green, and you can see it on the left hand side there, best I think at the top, and that's all moss. Now whether moss was on the tree before it was worked on by the tree surgeon or not, I can't remember. I would have thought that the moss would have been there by then, but just to illustrate how tall these particular trees are, even though they've been under the had lots of work done. You can see rings on there depicting how old these trees are. Once again, I think there's 3 lots of trees on this particular vlog. Forgive me for showing them, but from an historical point of view they'll never be the same again, and so it was a worthwhile gesture for me to, I thought anyway, to be able to film them all. But in the background there you can see at the bottom of the park, now that area gets a lot of fog in the winter, and also we get lots of gulls in this park, and I'll explain that to you in a few moments, why we get lots of gulls. It took me a long time to find out, but I did a survey, and the survey proved very interesting, and I'll pass that knowledge on to you all so you can tell your children and grandchildren. From my point of view, every park should have a bandstand, and in the summer months we have quite a few recitals from local bands. It's a wonderful occasion for me, at least, and my family, and there's lots of people turn out, and it is a shady area so you can get out of the sun if it's too hot, and there's some wonderful bands come to play. We can also sing along to some of the stuff that they play, which is usually popular music, and it's an occasion, several occasions, I think over the summer months, 5 periods, and usually on Sunday afternoons, and well worth turning out for. On the perimeter of the park, and it follows all the way around to the right, is this thick edging which supports lots of birds. Not many nesting sites, I'm afraid, but we do get lots of house sparrows going in there because it's thick and safe from most predators. But the house sparrow, I'm mentioning the house sparrow because it's on the decline at the moment, we used to have lots of house sparrows where we live, and we've still got the same facilities, but they're not coming. Now, whether that is that they're not breeding or they're just dying off, I don't know at this stage. But the RSPB are doing a survey. The garden survey comes up next month, which will be in January or February, I think. And I'll be putting down that what we see in the garden and what's missing. And unfortunately, and I'm afraid to say, that the house sparrow is, along with the greenfinch, is not coming to our gardens, and they were 2 or 3 years ago. And you can see the field as it pans round very slowly. This used to be a field for cricketers. You can see there's still benches all the way around the edges, and I used to love to come down on Sunday morning into the park and watch cricket. All the men in their whites. I did make a film of this actually, but I don't know where it is at the moment. But I used to love to hear the sound of the ball hitting the bat, the willow. It has a certain sound about it. Cricket was not my game, but it doesn't mean to say that I didn't like watching it. Lots of my friends, a friend of mine called Jack, used to play cricket down here, and I think this cricket field now has moved to Carlton, which is another village further on from where I'm filming at the moment. I suppose I ought to make some films of Carlton at some point. Now the Royston Park, and I've not filmed it because there's fences all around, has got its own bowling greens, which at the moment I think are tended by the people who play bowls, I think, and they do a good job as well. And I think there's also one at Carlton, which as I say, I'll have to make some vlogs about it. My main problem at the moment is getting proper titles for the vlogs that I do. Most people that visit my site say that the vlogs are usually interesting, but because I don't give good title captions, people are not drawn to them in large numbers. Not that that doesn't bother me at all. Now, I did say to you that at the bottom of this field we get lots of fog. I also mentioned we get lots of gulls flying around. And the reason for the gulls, in the main anyway, not in every case, is that there is a large sewage pipe goes through the park to the main road, past the houses you can see. Now, sewage, as we all know, is warmer than freezing cold temperatures. And when the ground's hard, frozen hard, where the sewage pipes is, the ground is often softer, and also the heat brings things to the surface, and the gulls snap these things up when they've been roosting at Winterset, Rye Hill. Several surveys over the years have proven to, depending on the temperature and the conditions of the weather, bring down different types of birds. And we were getting partridges at one point, some ducks dropped in at one point, and I have actually done a survey just on gulls, counting how many thousands went through off the canal, which is just to the behind those houses. You can see on the right there's a canal down there where barges used to move coal up and down at one point. The canal is now used for fishing on. I think you'll find I've done a vlog on that as well. Well, children, of course, need, after their walk, they need some other entertainment, and there's plenty of swings down this park. You can see them on the left there, and I'm hoping that the slide takes you across from left to right. Yes, it's going across now very slowly, I'm sorry to say. But you can see while I'm talking that there's all sorts of different trees in the area around the park, which makes it look beautiful when they're all in green. And at the far side of the park, which separating the houses and the park, is another barrier where there are shrubs of some description. Now we do get birds nesting in there, and we also get sparrowhawk coming over now. We didn't used to get a few years ago, so they take some of those. Everything lives off everything, as we know in nature, and also because the rabbiting site is not far away now, I suspect that some of these birds that was getting into our garden don't bother now, because there's plenty of food up on the rabbiting site. In fact, there's lots and lots of teasels up there, which is wonderful for finches, such as the green finch I mentioned earlier. Anyway, there's also on here, you can probably just see coming in now on the right, seesaws, and there's a huge slide on that's covered in, and it's safe from falling off, which caters for different age groups, and in my view that's how it should be. But also, if you look at this area, no dogs are allowed in this area, and there's fencing all the way around to keep the children safe while their parents are watching them on these benches. And it's a good facility, but not as good as it used to be. At the far side of the fence, you can see a footpath, and then behind that footpath there used to be a paddling pool before my time, before I came to Royston, but there was all sorts of facilities. I used to walk it from an estate called Athersley North as a young boy, and I used to love to come to this Royston Park and play pitch and putt. There was like a mini golf course there, and a man used to hand the things out, the clubs out, when you paid for so much money. I can't remember what it was now. And there was a man sitting there waiting for you to give the things back. And so there was lots of things going on then that there's not going on now. But having said that, we should really use the parks to their full. And they do get used, actually. There's often lots and lots of people walking down St John's Walk with children, and they use it to walk to school as well. And there's lots of children play games down here, and not so much football now, unless it's at the far end and I don't see it. Oh, that's right, I do apologise. Football is conducted in the park, and it's at the far side of that red fence in the field area, where it's green again. And that goes off on a Sunday morning. Now I can sometimes hear these people shouting, "Hey!" and they all appear to be having a whale of a time. And I have to tell you that some of these children come down here in all weathers when it's the football season, and that just shows how keen they are. So although we've lost the cricket, we're now doing very well with the football. So here we are with the slide I mentioned earlier. You can see that it's children climb up, and when they get to the top they slide down in a tube so they can't fall when they're coming down, and which is a good safety thing in my view. And then to the right of this clip You can see clearer now that there's red fences all the way around. I think I mentioned earlier no dogs are allowed in there where the children are. But to the right of this particular slide, this bit of film, there is another facility which is a hut. No, forgive me, it's not a hut, it's a building, and it's a multi-purpose building where I believe footballers can get their gear out of it, and I have to say that the footballers are supervised by a wonderful team of people. And also during the week, I think this facility now, this building is used as another facility for little children, and there's also times when it's open for them to go and use it. So there's lots of stuff going off down the park, and I hope I've made it a little bit more interesting for you than some of the other vlogs I've done. One of my major stumbling blocks at the moment is not so much the content. The editing I've struggled with for 2 years, and then I had to get the voice patterns right, and this, that and the other went wrong for me. In fact, I made quite a hash of this one. I've had to do it twice. But one of the major stumbling blocks for me has been getting the right titles. Some of the vlogs I've done have only had 8 people visiting, and one there's been over 7,500 visiting. And the reason for that one, the last one, is that it was about Charlie Williams, a wonderful, wonderful man. And everybody wants to know about Charlie Williams, but only local people really want to know about the parks. But having said that, I still enjoy doing the vlogs. I also do blogs on Facebook and write stories now, in fact, some of which have gone on Facebook. I've got several Facebook pages. I've got one on retired and retiring, which I give tips to people. I've got another one on watercolour painting for the first time painter. I've got lots of tips on that on Facebook. I've got several more actually, and I've just forgot what they are off the top of my head. One's for gardening. I think there's over 1,000 people visit that one. What else have I got? I've 2 more, and I honestly can't remember what they are. So if you've any questions, if there's something you want to know about the content of these vlogs that I put in there, please let me know, and I'll try and answer them. And if I can't answer them, I'll try and make a vlog on the questions you are posing to me. One thing I will not do, I will not stand any kind of unconstructive criticism. Constructive criticism I can play with all day, and the reason for that is I've been blogging, not vlogging, blogging for almost 20 years now, and vlogging probably 2 years at the most, I think. No, 3. 2 in lockdown, and I'm still in a lockdown situation, and probably 1 before that. So I'm just about getting there now with the quality of the vlogs. Anyway, I'm going to end this one now and say to you, if you enjoy any of my vlogs, please give it the thumbs up. Click on that for me, and also click on the little bell which will tell you when the next vlog's coming out, and of course it's free. So all the very best to you all, wherever you are in the world, and please keep safe. Bye for now.